The anti-vaxxer movement has been transposed to include the vaccination of pets and companion animals. Those supporting this ideology maintain that vaccinating pets overwhelms their immune system. The article cited below states that this is inaccurate and that this philosophy is endangering animals around the unvaccinated individual. In the UK, the movement against vaccinating pets has been relevant for longer and has had more of an effect on local health. This is cited as an example of the negative consequences of decreasing vaccinations in pets. According to an AVMA article, decreasing numbers of vaccinations in pets has the potential to increase occurrences of highly contagious diseases like distemper, parvo, and even rabies, which has mostly been unseen in domesticated dogs today, thanks to vaccines. The graph below shows the correlation between decreasing numbers of rabies cases and increasing numbers of rabies vaccination in dogs, according to the CDC.
Foot and mouth disease is highly contagious and can be economically devastating to both big and small production systems. Vaccines have been available since the 1900s, and it helped control outbreaks to some extent. There's been many different versions of this vaccine, and there are a variety of problems with each of them. According to the scientific journal, the best option right now is inactivated vaccines. The results of this is good, but there are still problems with it that need to be addressed. New research is still being done to understand foot and mouth disease as a whole and how it functions and changes. The prediction is that the final solution will be several vaccines that addresses each of the problems that has been seen in the vaccinated population. The ANSC Animal Health has developed a new, affordable, and more effective vaccine for foot and mouth disease. This vaccine can be administered in warm environments, unlike the older versions which required it to be cold during administration. The new composition of this vaccine allows for easier production, storage, and transportation. A large concern in the production of old vaccines was that it would escape one of the facilities. With this new one, however, the virus does not have to be grown to produce the vaccine, so that concern is eliminated completely. This vaccine is made to simulate immune system response, but has nothing to do with the active virus itself. This vaccine will be affordable and widely available, leading to healthy animals, and will stop the economic loss that it has had on people.
Many people may not realize the importance of using vaccines, or they might understand that it is important, but not know that there is more science to vaccinations than just treating diseased animals. James Biddle, the head of Department of Infectious Diseases at Dow Chemical Company, discusses how using vaccinations for prevention instead of treatment makes antibody response more effective and the number of diseased animals to a minimum. Biddle states how repeatedly using vaccines helps cattle not spread diseases quite as easily and keeps each animal healthier. This leaves new calves with an antibody from their birth and again allows each animal to have a better chance of never getting diseases in the first place. Since antibody response is carried from cows to the calves, it is important to vaccinate right before breeding and around 30 days after birth. Biddle refers to the graph below and explains that the antibodies for each of the related diseases last for a different number of months, and that the calves should be separated for 30 days and vaccinated within 1 to 4 months of birth, and again 5 to 9 months after birth, to ensure that the new animals stay healthy and do not get diseases from the other cattle before vaccination.
Recently, cases have been reported of cattle testing positive for anthrax in North Dakota and Texas. Anthrax is a disease caused by a spore-forming bacteria that can contaminate the grass and hay livestock eat, or livestock can inhale the spores. Anthrax is not common, but there are still a number of cases reported annually in the U.S., but there are vaccines that can prevent it. Farmers should keep an eye out for symptoms of anthrax in their livestock, which include acute fever, staggering, difficulty breathing, and seizures. The Nebraska Department of Agriculture states the importance of discussing the preventative vaccine administration with their veterinarians. Vaccines are used to reduce the risk of bovine respiratory disease in cattle, but there still remains a high number of cattle losses in the U.S. Animal scientists are seeking a way to increase the efficacy of the vaccination by analyzing the effects that time of vaccination has on the calves and the impact of the age of the calf on the vaccine. For the study, they measured the serum antibodies that were present in the calves after vaccination against 4 viruses that are commonly associated with BRDC every three weeks after the vaccinations were administered. Half of the calves were vaccinated at weaning, and the other half were vaccinated 3 weeks before weaning. Results of the study showed that a better response to vaccination occurs when the cattle are older.
Mastitis caused by Klebsiella species is an emerging issue in the dairy industry and is resulting in financial losses. Mastitis is described as inflammation of the mammary gland or udder. The study was conducted to analyze the results of the Klebsiella vaccine. When analyzing the results, it was seen that there was not a significant decrease in the risk to mastitis. However, milk production did increase, and when administered before calving, milk production increased by an average of 1.74 kilograms per day. The herd that was chosen to be experimented on was chosen because it had a high amount of mastitis cases.
In a study done about changing vaccination timing, it was found that early calves had less average daily gain before weaning, but it was found that it was greater in calves in other treatments. Plasma concentration of antibodies against bovine viral diarrhea virus, or BVDV, was greater in early calves compared to the con and delayed calves on day 15. But later on, the plasma concentration changed, letting early and con calves have a higher percentage compared to delayed calves. It was also found in the same study that the initial and booster vaccinations before the feedlot were beneficial in enhancing health and performance during the feedlot receiving phase. The current vaccine being used to combat contagious bovine pleuropneumonia has been found to be unsuitable for the African temperature due to the fact that it needs to be on ice. Also, because it needs to be on ice, it has led to animals having inflammation and ulcers, and in an extreme reaction to the vaccine, a loss of the tail. The new vaccine that is being made is made of an antigen and an adjuvant to induce an immune response and improve efficacy of the vaccine. They are currently also working on reverse vaccinology that is being used to develop new vaccines.
Bovine tuberculosis is a very deadly disease and can easily infect human populations through many routes of transmission. Vaccines for bovine TB are illegal in the EU and not found in any international control program. Vaccines cannot be used as vaccinated cattle will test positive for bovine TB whether or not they are truly infected. Infected herds reduce economic productivity for producers, and many producers are weary of trying any newly formulated vaccines. Tests contain peptides formulated to represent antigens found in the TB bacteria, but not recognized by the cattle's immune system once vaccinated. Scientists have determined that the issue with the TB test is in its specificity, posing another issue as changes in either direction can have negative effects. If specificity is lowered, the chance of infection in TB-free herds increases. With too high of specificity, the test detects the virus in vaccinated TB-free cattle. The specificity of the test must run high in order to protect potential herds in both frequency of testing required and the possible number of infected cattle.